I was 22 when this happened. I had just graduated college, between jobs and picking up odd work around my small town, babysitting, cleaning houses, running errands, basically anything that paid cash. A woman I dog sat for once recommended me to a friend of her neighbors, a man named Craig. He called me one afternoon and explained he'd be traveling for a week and needed someone to stay in his house to look after his golden retriever, Max. He said Max was anxious and did best with someone staying overnight, and the pay was better than usual, so I agreed. Craig was in his late 40s tall, with wire-rimmed glasses and a windbreaker. He seemed a little overly friendly, but not creepy. His house was on the edge of town, tucked back in a wooded area. The place was nice but dated, beige carpets, floral curtains. He walked me through everything. When to let Max out, where the spare key was, what fridge items I could use. I was to stay in the guest bedroom off the living room.
The first 2 nights were normal. I watched TV, took Max on evening walks, and slept with him curled up at the foot of the bed. But on the 3rd night, I noticed something odd. On the dresser across from the bed sat a digital alarm clock. It didn't match the rest of the room. It looked new. Black plastic, bright blue LED display. Above the numbers was a tiny pinhole. At first, I thought it was a sensor. Then I realized it was angled directly at the bed. My stomach dropped. I'd read stories about hidden cameras, but never seen one. When I picked it up, it was heavier than I expected, with a faint buzzing sound inside, like a tiny fan. I turned it toward me and stared right into that pinhole. That's when Max suddenly lifted his head and started whining. From somewhere deeper inside the house, not the front door, I heard a door closing. Craig wasn't supposed to be back until Sunday. It was only Wednesday. My heart pounded as slow footsteps approached down the hallway.
I locked the door just as the steps stopped outside. Craig's voice came through, calm but slightly out of breath. He said he'd left something in the room and needed me to open the door. He claimed the device was a motion sensor for the dog, that he didn't want to freak me out by mentioning it. When I didn't answer, his knocking turned into pounding. His voice sharpened. Max barked and jumped at the door that I glanced at the window. My hand shook as I unlocked it. Craig shouted that if I didn't open the door, he'd use his key and call the cops, claiming I broke into his house. I shoved the window open, climbed out, and ran through the yard until I reached the road. I called my mom, who picked me up 15 minutes later. The next day, I blocked Craig's number and contacted a lawyer. Without proof, like a recording or the device itself, there wasn't much I could do. Craig could claim it was harmless. I never went back, never got paid, and never found out if the woman who recommended me knew anything about him. For weeks I had nightmares about hidden cameras, about waking up to find a lens watching me. That I end late September. My girlfriend Emma and I booked an Airbnb near her sister's town. The house looked cozy in photos, with warm lighting and hardwood floors, though the listing mentioned the basement storage room was off limits. When we arrived, the place looked more weathered. The host, Alan, was waiting on the porch. He was in his late 50s, thin gray hair combed neatly, a pressed flannel shirt tucked into jeans. He smiled, but it never reached his eyes. Near the kitchen, with a heavy padlock. In a firmer tone, he said it stayed locked. It was his storage space. No reason to go down there. He didn't smile this time. After he left, we settled in. That night, around midnight, I thought I heard a dull thud from below. I brushed it off. But the next night, around 2 a.m., I woke to a dragging sound from the basement, like something heavy being pulled across the floor. Emma heard it too. The noises returned each night, footsteps, metallic clinking, even what sounded like breathing. During the day, I checked the basement door, still locked, but I thought I smelled something sour drifting from the cracks that on the 4th night. Emma noticed the smoke detector above the bed looked strange. I climbed up and unscrewed it. Inside was a tiny camera, its green light blinking. Another lens poked through the wall near the dresser, both aimed at the bed. That was it. We packed our bags in silence and left in the middle of the night, calling police from a gas station. Officers met us, then followed us back. They seized the cameras and evidence. The basement door, once locked, now stood open. Alan was down there, hiding in a closet with a monitor connected to the cameras. He was arrested immediately, charged with trespassing and invasion of privacy. Airbnb tried to smooth it over with a voucher, but the experience left us scarred. We don't trust rentals anymore. Only hotels that a week ago, something else happened to me. My name is Joe, and I share a 2-bedroom apartment with my roommate, Eric. We met through a Facebook housing group. He seemed quiet, polite, awkward, but fine. For months, we barely crossed paths.
Then I noticed strange things. My closet door left open. My chair moved slightly. It felt like someone had been in my room. One morning while cleaning, I spotted a small black dot in the corner where the wall met the ceiling. It was a wireless camera aimed straight at my bed. My stomach turned. The only person with access was Eric. I hid the camera in my nightstand drawer to see if he'd come looking. 2 nights passed quietly. On the third, I woke around 3 a.m. to the sound of my drawer opening. In the faint light, Eric was bent over my nightstand. He froze, then slowly turned toward me. "I know you're awake," he whispered. "What did you do with it?" My chest tightened. I sat up, demanding to know why he planted a camera. He claimed it was to prove I was stealing from him. I called him a liar. We shouted. Finally, I grabbed the camera and threw it in the trash. I warned him I'd tell the landlord and maybe the police. He just stared, fists clenched, then walked back into his room.
I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, the camera was gone from the garbage. A week later, Eric still lives here. We don't speak, but the way he looks at me makes my skin crawl. Every creak of the floor outside my door keeps me awake, but I don't know what he really wanted. I just know I can't live here much longer.